We've got a ton of basketball today, and a local legend says it's time to step away. Don't go anywhere. It's time for the final score.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Tonight on the final score, the hardwood is heating up. We'll show you the best basketball highlights from around the peninsula in girls and boys basketball. And the Ravens have finally landed their new head coach. We'll tell you who's at the helm now in Baltimore. And of course, the sweetest plays from across Delmarva. Stick around until the end to see who makes our list. The final score starts right now.
The final score starts now.
Hello and welcome into the final score, folks. I'm Darren Wallace. Typically, we'd start the show off with our game of the night, but before we send it out to Lewis, we're going to lead the show off with a story happening right here in Salisbury. Earlier today, YI Basketball announced legendary head coach Butch Waller is coaching in his 60th and final season for the Tribe. Coach Waller is the pinnacle of high school basketball here on Delmarva. His accomplishments include over 900 career wins, making him the winningest public school head coach in Maryland history and the second overall behind DeMatha's Morgan Wooten. He's a state champion, leading the Tribe to their first and only state title, going a perfect 28-0. He founded the Governor's Challenge, but most importantly, he's coached and developed a plethora of young men on and off the court. He will be celebrated on Saturday, February 7th at the Waller Dome when the Tribe takes on North Carolina. So a massive congratulations to Coach Waller on an outstanding career. But now let's transition from Bayside boys hoops to Henlopen girls hoops. The Cape Henlopen Vikings hosted the Polytech Panthers, and DSN Sports Director Kayla Santiago, along with Pat Cassett, were there to see how it all went down. Let's head to Lewis.
Here in Lewis, Delaware at Cape Henlopen High School, Kayla Santiago alongside Pat Cassett. It was a big game going the Vikings' way as they get their 10th overall win on the season. Let's get right into the highlights. The Vikings trying to get another big win so they can be chew up on every single team in the Henlopen North Division. It was a good start for Sierra Henry of Polytech, really the senior leader.
Yeah, and she was helping score the basketball and facilitating. And early on, there was a feeling out process from both teams. Some really good defense both ways. And Polytech was able to shut down Amalia Fruckman in that first quarter, and that helped keep them in the game. But somebody else would need to step up for the Vikings.
And that was Amara Fruckman, fantastic defense. And then you see more coming in. Rachel Cherry had a really nice game, the freshman from Polytech. But here comes Amalia Fruckman.
Yeah, they were triple teaming her. At one point, she drew 4 defenders when she was trying to drive into the lane. And so Polytech was throwing literally the kitchen sink at Amalia Fruckman, and then she started to become a pass-first player here, and she started just facilitating.
Yeah, her and Allie Deal had a great connection. Allie Deal finishing with 8 total points, and then you see more from the outside, and Amalia Fruckman just knows where the rock is at each and every time.
Yeah, and that's when she really started getting into the zone. That time, really good find from Henry, and she was kind of their whole offense in the transition game in the first half, and then here's a perfect give and go to beat the zone.
And then more action coming from the senior, getting the block on the defensive end and then trailing on offense. Give her the bucket plus the foul. Amalia Fruckman trying to get the old-fashioned three-point play, and then it's just more from the standout Cape Henlopen Viking.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to try to set up the second half. And this was a high-flying first 3 minutes of the second half for both sides. Cape, Polytech felt like they turned the offense on. Henry here from downtown, and Panthers were trying to make a run.
Yeah, Faith Elliott had a really nice 3 a moment ago, as well as you see more from Henry. Really like her game from the side of Polytech, but then it would be Cape Henlopen just able to finish just about everything. That was Rishko coming in and getting the big time 3 for number 3. Then Amalia Fruckman continues to do what she's needed to do, and then for Cape Henlopen finishing out the job, that would be Journey White. Your final 56-21 in favor of the Cape Henlopen Vikings. That will bring us to our Shore Standout. This is sponsored to you by Gateway Subaru. And how can it not go to Amalia Fruckman? She finished with 23 total points.
Yeah, and it felt like it was at times a quiet 23 points because she didn't really get going until the second quarter and then sat out the fourth quarter, and she just does it all. I mean, hustle, rebound plays, being able to draw contact at the rim. This is why her coach believes that she is the best player in the state of Delaware.
Yeah, 1,000 career points, ranking in 500 career rebounds. At this point, it's over that margin, but she has a real case to become a top player in the state of Delaware when it is all said and done this year. Cape Henlopen 2 games up of everybody in the North Division, and that's important because they want to go to that Henlopen Conference game, and then they have bigger hopes going into the postseason under first-year head coach Ron Dukes, who comes in with a ton of experience. Polytech goes back to the drawing board as Cape Henlopen will hit the road. Your final from Lewis, Delaware, 56-21. Cape Henlopen getting 10 wins on the year. That'll be the 7th loss for Polytech. They sit at an even 500. For Pat Cassett, I'm Kayla Santiago saying so long from Cape Henlopen High School in Lewis, Delaware. We send it back to the Wawa Studios with more.
Thank you so much, Kayla. You saw the girls. Let's check out the boys. Up in Woodside, Delaware, the Polytech Panthers hosted the Cape Henlopen Vikings. And we're starting off the game. Steven Shivels, the lob to Jamison Tingle. He does more than play quarterback, folks. He's a high flyer. But then on the other end, Halim Edwards gets up ahead, count the bucket and the foul. Going back and forth here early on. But then Tingle is going to get this nice pull-up J for 2 from the elbow. Tingle can do it all inside and outside, but then the Panthers respond. Here's Jackson Art, a pull-up jumper. Polytech trying to hang around early on, but then Steven Civils, he shot this one from the 3rd row, and he greened it. Tough shot. Cape Henlopen at 36-11 at the half, and then Civils to Tingle, another time for the lay. They're connecting multiple times in this game, but then Edwards trying to answer for Polytech, and he does from deep. That's a big 3. But then Braxton fakes. He's going to get the pass underneath, up and under, around a few defenders for the layup. Vikings had it all working, but then this nice move from the Panthers. Jordan Downing able to get inside. But actually, no, here's Jordan Downing, the lefty, sweet stroke from the left wing. Vikings did it all in this one. And then how about one more 3 for the Vikings? This time it's Nathan Ree. Cape Henlopen would go on to win big, 69-28. Part 1 done. Plenty more is coming your way though here on the final score, including the sweetest plays from across Delmarva. Tons of great plays from the basketball courts. Which one will take home the top spot on our list? Well, you have to watch to find out. Plus, we make our way out to the Athlete Academy once again in Berlin, where one of the best lacrosse players in the Bayside gears up for her junior season with Stephen Decatur this spring. And you can't forget the highlights. We'll head back to the Henlopen Conference for some more boys basketball. Laurel taking on Lake Forest, while North Dorchester and Easton went to battle in the Bayside for Bayside North supremacy. We'll have all that and more for you here on the final score. But first, here's Chief Meteorologist Mike Lichniak.
It's the warmest day that we've seen in a few days here across the peninsula. We had temperatures well up into the 50s today. This is also the warmest temperatures that we are going to see for at least the next 10 days. We'll talk about the cooler air that's on the way and, of course, the latest on the storm that's on the way for the weekend when we return.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Welcome back to the final score. The weather has been the talk of the entire country, not just the Eastern Shore this week. Many meteorologists are calling for up to possibly 18 inches of snow in some parts of our area. The potential weather is already affecting some of our local sports teams. So let's check in with our main man, WBOC Chief Meteorologist Mike Lichniak, for your full game day forecast.
Hi there, friends. Notice that as we work through the weekend, things start to deteriorate. We see the clouds on the increase during the course of Saturday. Saturday, our temperatures will be in the 20s, and then temperatures will hold there. In fact, we expect temperatures to fall back into the teens overnight. And then we get to Sunday when we deal with the snow, which will then turn into a wintry mess for some of us as we work throughout the course of Sunday. But for those first several hours Sunday morning, the snow will be coming and it will be falling at a pretty heavy clip until we start to see that warmer nose of air push on in and transition us into a mixture of sleet and freezing rain with the snow. And then for some of us, we go over to rain, while others just stay sleet, freezing rain, and snow. And then we all go back to snow as that cold air wraps in on the backside of this storm system. Here's your forecast for Friday afternoon. Temperatures will be in the 30s and 40s across the area. We quickly see those temperatures falling into the single digits and teens as we get you going on Saturday morning. By Saturday afternoon, again, temperatures are only in the mid-20s, falling with time, and then the snow begins to overspread the area by late Saturday night. So while most of us are in bed heading into Sunday morning, that's when the snow starts to overspread the area. And I wanted to stop the clock here, 7:30 on our in-house model. I want to show you this. Temperatures at the beach hovering around freezing, upper 20s in Salisbury. But look at this. Temperatures teens and low 20s, Easton, Cambridge, Georgetown, Dover. So this would be very heavy, light, fluffy snow falling. And we could see snowfall rates early in the morning hours of Sunday in the neighborhood of at least 1 to 2 inches, if not up to 3 inches per hour. And that's before the transition happens over to a little bit of sleet and freezing rain for some of us. And again, there's your cold air that starts to surge on in as we head into Saturday morning. Saturday will be a windy and chilly day here on the peninsula. So again, we start as snow for everybody during the course of Sunday morning. As we get to late morning, early afternoon, we start to see that transition over to sleet and freezing rain, and then over to rain at the beach and the farther south you go. Across parts of the midshore and across parts of Delaware, northern Delaware, this is going to transition to sleet, freezing rain, and that's it. And then on the backside of this storm system, we will see this transition over to snow before it wraps up early on Monday with bitter cold coming in for much of next week.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Welcome back to the Final Score. We got more basketball for you from other parts of the peninsula. We'll start about 20 minutes up the road. These highlights are brought to you by Stanley Steamer. Lake Forest taking the bus to take on the Laurel Dogs. Dogs trying to make it 4 dubs in a row in front of their home fans. The score is tied at 4 in the first quarter. Brennan Thompson playing some bully ball to change that. Dogs go up 6-4 with a 2-point lead. On the other end, Damian Brewington comes away with a loose ball, a little fadeaway jumper. Laurel just up 8-6 now in the first quarter. But then later in the first, Gavin launches a pass ahead to Ashton Ayers-Lucas. He knocks down the long range too. It's 10-6 Laurel in the first, but then on the break, it's Indy O'Hagan with the pass to Lemire Wright. He finishes. It's just a 2-point game. Second quarter, 3-ball from Keelan Bailey. 15-14, Lake Forest takes the lead. But then Jeremiah Mazzell converts the layup on the fast break. He makes it 19-17, Laurel trailing by 2. But on the other end, Mason Rogers, the Kyrie gather, and the tough 2 in the lane. Lake Forest up 4 now in the second quarter, 21-17. Second half, Kylan Brady knocks down the 3. It's 30-21 in the third quarter. Lake Forest up 9, but then Khalid Burton trying to cut into the deficit. It's 37-35. Here come the Dogs. And then Zabrian Ely drives baseline, back to the basket, reverse Laurel. They're up 5. It's 46-41 in the fourth. And then Brennan Thompson skies for the dunk. An emphatic exclamation mark as Laurel would go on to win 59-52. 4 wins in a row for the Dogs. Now North Dorchester traveling to face Easton tonight. Easton trying to climb up in the Bayside North ranking, sitting at 7-2 in conference play. Early on in the game plan was simple. Get it to Zymir Ramirez so he can do that. Tough layup inside, but then the Eagles get on the board. Tyrone Smith goes coast to coast, splits the defenders, right hand reverse. That's a tough finish. But then Cole Murphy takes the ball across half, and he gets it to his man Ramirez. That's the game plan, and he finishes again. But the Eagles respond with Smith driving, kicking. Mir McCoy knocks down the 3. But then on the other end, Ramirez, corner 3, no. Offensive rebound, Preston Lewis. Ramirez tries again. Yes, sir. 12-7 after 1. Second quarter now. Another Warrior piece of precision passing. Kyrie Acree on the receiving end of the layup, but then Mir McCoy, the steal, coast to coast. You can't stop that freight train. That's an easy deuce. And then Eagles trying to do some more, but Easton applying that pressure. It's a pick. Luke Myers gets it up ahead to Rhodes for the layup, and then the Warriors are starting to pull away now. Deshaun Johnson, that's too easy, gets in the lane for 2, 38-13 at the half, and then second half, same result. Good ball movement from the Warriors. Ramirez inside once again with that left hand and one bucket. And then Johnson, he's going to drive and feeds Ramirez one more time as Easton would go on to win 54-26. Let's recap some of the other action we couldn't get to tonight. These scores brought to you by Spicer Brothers. More Bayside North action. Colonel Richardson defeated St. Michael's 85-61. The Colonels improved to 12-1 on the season, and they've won 4 straight games after their lone loss to CSD. The Colonels will take on Kent Island next Tuesday, while St. Michael's next contest is also against Kent Island, but that's on Thursday. And another edition of the Salisbury City rivalry, the Parkside Rams defeated J&B 64-58 in a double OT thriller. The Rams ended their 3-game skid, which was a gauntlet that featured High, Stephen Decatur, and Pocomoke. They improved to 9-3, while J&B drops to 5-6 on the season. And in the Henlopen North, Sussex Central defeated Cesar Rodney in boys hoops 60-48. After starting the season 1-5, don't look, but the Golden Knights, they've won 4 of their last 6 games. They have a rematch against Sussex Tech taking place next Tuesday. They're trying to get a season sweep over the Ravens. We are nearing the end here, folks. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we recap some of the top stories from the pro sports world. The Ravens, big news today. They made a head coaching hire, while there were moves made around the world of baseball from a couple of our local teams. Pro sports went crazy today. We'll be right back after the break. Today's Superstar of Tomorrow, presented by Bass by Spicer Brothers, is Avriana from Harbison. She plays flag football with the Cape Elite Vikings, baseball with the Lewis Little League, and also dances. Keep up the great work, Avriana. Now let's recap our top stories from today. Starting in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens, they found their guy, and it's a guy who's been in the building before. Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter was hired earlier today to be the new head coach of the Ravens, just 16 days after longtime head coach John Harbaugh was fired. Minter was hired by John to be a defensive assistant for the Ravens in 2017 after a 3-year stint as the DC at Georgia State. Then after 3 years with the Ravens and being promoted to defensive backs coach in 2020. He was hired as a defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt for a season, then became defensive coordinator at the University of Michigan under John Harbaugh's brother Jim for 2 seasons, and then he followed Jim to Los Angeles to become the defensive coordinator there. Now that the Ravens have filled their head coaching vacancy, we will keep you updated on how Minter will fill out the rest of his coaching staff. Now heading over to the majors, Major League Baseball, the Nationals traded their ace pitcher Mackenzie Gore to the Texas Rangers for a haul of third baseman Gavin Fiend, shortstop Devin Fitzgerald, pitcher Alejandro Rodario, first baseman Abimelec Ortiz, and outfielder Yeremy Cabrera. Fiend was a 12th pick in the draft last season, and Devin Fitzgerald was a top 100 prospect for the Rangers. As for Gore, the left-hander earned his first career All-Star nod in 2025. He finished the season with a career-high 185 strikeouts and strikeouts per 9 innings at 10.4 and an ERA of 4.17. The Nats are clearly in rebuild mode, and they're trying to tear it down to the studs. Over in Baltimore, the Orioles claimed Weston Wilson off waivers following the Phillies DFAing him earlier this week to clear up a roster spot for JT Realmuto. The utility man joined the Titans on a minor league contract in January of 2023 and began receiving more consistent playing time in 2024 when he appeared in 40 games. His most memorable moment was when he hit for the cycle against the Nationals, who we just talked about, becoming the 10th player and first rookie in Phillies history to ever accomplish that feat. So from one ball and stick sport to another, it's almost lacrosse season on Delmarva, and as always, expectations are sky high for the Decatur girls team, anchored by a junior that our own Ian Nicholas just profiled. Let's send it out to the Athlete Academy and meet Kennedy Kirby.
You can go to another gym and you can maybe be lifting more or running faster, but you don't have what we have here as a family.
Kennedy will talk to everybody, which is awesome, man. She walks through the door and you can kind of feel everything kind of just elevate a little bit. She walks up, and I'm usually like smirking and giggling at the way she's walking in, man, because she just comes in, she brings energy. She comes in with a big beaming smile every day, usually screaming my name, "Hey, Honor! Hey, Honor!" She's always got something to tell me when she comes in the door, you know what I mean? But when it's time to work, that girl will work.
But what is Stephen Decatur Jr. Kennedy Kirby working towards? Dominance on the lacrosse field. The 11th grader is on top of her game because of the Athlete Academy.
Explosiveness, 100%. I have never been faster, and I've came from the attack position to the midfield for high school, and I think that was a big jump for me. And I'm just really happy that I came here and I was able to better myself. I want to play collegiate lacrosse, and I just want to find where I can just keep bettering myself at the sport that I love. I'll always love lacrosse, and it's just the game and the competitiveness and the creativity that I can do on the field, and my teammates, and just always having people there for me. You can't find it anywhere else.
In the Bayside, you can't find many players better than Kirby, who is first team all-conference as a sophomore. Reporting from Berlin, Ian Nicholas, DSN.
Welcome back to the Final Score. It's time now for my favorite part of the show. Hope it's yours too. The sweetest plays from across Delmarva, brought to you by How Sweet It Is. Starting at number 4 on the hardwood, Mir McCoy gets the steal, and he's got one thing on his mind: get to the rim, and he does just that, plus the contact. So he gets the and one. Let's take another look. Mir McCoy can't stop him in transition, and you can't foul him either because he's going to finish through contact. Moving on to number 3, staying on the hardwood, Amalia Fruckman getting it done on both ends. The rejection on one side, and then you got to reward the big for running the floor. She gets the layup on the other end, plus the foul. Let's take another look. The block, letting the ref know, hey, I got my hand straight up. And then the Vikings, they find her on the other end inside, and she takes care of the rest. Let's move ahead to number 2. We are grinding through these things. It's Steven Sibbles from Curryland. Man, he could have dapped up the guy sitting in the first row there. Look at this 3, the skip pass from Tingle and Sibbles. I mean, nothing but the bottom of the net. That's a deep 3, folks. But now it's time for our sweetest play of the night, and it's an exclamation point from Brennan Thompson, all alone under the rim. Look at the big fella getting up. He's hyped. Take another look. The flush and Laurel. They won 4 games in a row. They are hot in the Henlopen Conference. But sadly, we're all out of time tonight. Thank you for watching as always. And remember, for all your local sports content, be sure to like and follow us on all of our social media channels at Delmarva Sports. And of course, you want to give a huge thank you to all of our sponsors for making the Final Score possible. Stay safe out there. Storm's coming. See you next time.